Hello everyone, good evening everyone, and welcome to Club Deck Corner here on Club at 22, the Rangers podcast. We are live on YouTube tonight, so get yourself subscribed to the channel, get yourself involved in the live chat as well as we try to piece together Philip Clement remains. Why? I am Scott Carney. I am delighted to be back. Just on a personal note, thank you to everybody for the messages, the emails, etc. you've all sent through about the birth of my daughter. Everything's all good. Everything's going in the right direction. The mum and baby are both home. She's eating every 16 seconds. Everything's good overall, but everything's going in the right direction. But thank you, everybody. Joining me tonight in Club Deck Corner is Nicky Oven. Nicky, I think this is the first time we've done a podcast together since 1946, mate. It's been that long.
Something like that, mate. It was good to be back last week. Me and Roscoe done a bit of a chat about the game. But no, it's good to be back on with you as well, Scott. Obviously, I say congratulations as well, mate. I think you're looking well for a father of two, mate. I suspect that over the shows, mate, what will happen, mate, is you'll deteriorate much like myself. Before you know it, you could have skin head, stuff like that, the same as I have, mate. But no, it's good to be back on, mate, and it's good to see you looking well. And massive congratulations to you and Rachel and the rest of your family, mate.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, mate. I do appreciate it. Well, I'm having instead of shaving, mate, I've grew a kind of moustache thing that I'm kind of digging in now. So it's like a dad tash, I'm calling it. So yeah, I'm that's the instead of shaving my hair, I'm growing hair. No, look, everything's good to me. Everything is all good. I am tired. I'm not gonna lie, I'm tired. I've kind of forgotten after 2.5 years of the wee man, like what the start's like. I always thought start's no bother. You forget they're needy things, man. They really are needy. Anyway, let's not turn that into something. And Ross McLean, Ross, good to see you, mate. How are you?
Hello, mate. How we doing? Yeah, all good, thank you. Yeah, again, mate, massive congrats to yourself and the family. It's very good to see you back. Unfortunately, Rangers they've thrown a complete spanner in the works of what to speak about. It's still very much there's a lot to talk about, mate. So it's good to have you back. And yeah, just take it easy in the comments this evening. There's gonna be a lot of tension, a lot of heat. So let's try and make it through the next hour in a respectable manner.
In a respectable manner indeed. Yeah, when I'm sitting literally 15 minutes ago with her on my lap. She's wide awake, kind of mesmerised by the lights and whatever else, and I'm going, I need to put you down to go talk about Rangers. What am I doing with my life? But no, I couldn't not come back. Look, I generally mean it when I'm not on the podcast. I miss them, I really do. I've got full faith in you guys being able to do this without me. But I missed doing the podcast. It's as simple as that. So this was all planned around bedtimes and when the missus was free to etc. So and that's what we'll need to do going forward, unfortunately, but we will do it and we will make it work. Anyway, look, Rangers things now. This podcast is going to be, I don't know, maybe it's a counselling session that I thought I had to come back onto, but there's a lot of the stuff that we're probably going to repeat that what we've said in previous podcasts, but I think now more so than ever, I think the majority of people now are kind of fully on board with our what I think will be our way of thinking tonight, and the way that the club are, the direction the club's going in, etc., etc. There is very much a lot to break down, and I always will say, even the people in the comments, I mean, this is our opinion. If you don't agree, fine. I'm fine. You know, what I'm saying is not gospel. There's going to be my opinions. There's going to be strong opinions that I will put forward tonight that maybe some people won't agree with, but that's fine. It's the way I feel about things at Rangers. It's the way the guys feel about things about Rangers. So let's have a respectable chat, debate, whatever it may be, but it will be negative and it will be about Rangers. So you're in the right place. At least that trend's not changed with this podcast. It will still be negative about Rangers with this pod. But look, we will start with, there only really is one place that we can start, is with the seismic defeat, the embarrassing defeat, the humiliating defeat, any superlative that you want to attach to Sunday's fiasco that we've seen at Ibrox as we are put out of the Scottish Cup by Queen's Park. At Ibrox, there's really no other way around it, that it's probably, if not the most embarrassing, humiliating defeat in our history, in our modern history. I don't think there's a great argument to put forward for that. It's the first time Rangers have been put out of the Scottish Cup at home to a lower league opposition in our history ever. a really truly baffling stat award statement in history that Clement has put himself forward for there. And Nicky, there is no two ways around Sunday. I genuinely felt sorry for Ali when he was going to have to come on and do it for himself. The reaction pod on Sunday, I thought, my God, honestly, because I didn't go to the game. Obviously, my missus is still recovering, so I decided to watch the game from the house. And I always like the reactions to be done by, we'll get one of the guys that have been at the game. They get I feel like it's just a better read. It's just something that we've always done. We always get back to the pub, have a pint, and then do it. So I thought, I'll not take that away for Alistair. Yeah, which I suppose I was quite glad about, because I could turn the TV off and just forget it ever happened for an hour until it all came back haunting me. But Nicky, there's no getting away from that. That's not just a defeat that you can kind of brush off the shoulder and roll away from. That's momentous. That's a defeat that's damaging in every aspect.
It is, mate. And to be honest, it's probably not the first, right? It's probably the worst, right? In Clement's reign. In fact, it probably definitely is the worst in Clement's reign. But to be honest, mate, I don't think I've seen a lot of comments about it, and I don't think it was necessarily in the post. I mean, Ross and I spoke about this last week when we were on, and one of the things that I think we collectively agreed on is Rangers' form at home hasn't really been the massive issue, nor has it been in Europe, right? What we've seen this season is the away form just totally capitulate our season, right? It's totally capitulated our season. We've obviously lost a League Cup final to Celtic, but it's the away form in the league that's seen us fall so far behind Celtic. So I wouldn't say I was worried about the game. I wasn't worried at all about the game. I expected us to go out and be totally honest with you, I expected us to beat them 4 or 5-0, right? And that's no disrespect to Queen's Park. I just thought at home, we tend to kind of know what we're doing. I don't know if we take an energy from the crowd, bigger parks. I don't know what it is. People talk a lot about pressure, and I go, well, I mean, you're playing in front of 50,000 people. You go to Tannadice and you go to Tynecastle, places where we've struggled in the past, and you're playing against a third of that, a quarter of that, right? So it was I don't think it was one that was in the post, mate. But are you surprised? Probably not. Genuinely, I'm probably not surprised. I did think, yeah, listen, we'll go out and beat them. But see, when you don't win the game, and it got to that kind of 50-minute mark, 60-minute mark, and they started growing into the game. They started growing in confidence. We've seen this historically from Callum Davidson's teams, right? You look at Gerrard's year, right? His St Johnstone team caused us the exact same problems about just been really, really frustrating us, been really difficult to beat, been really structured, been really thing-making what they do, and then taking advantage of being 0-0 later on in the game and kind of going and attacking us then. So yes, it is a horrible result, mate. It is an absolutely horrible result. I am quite baffled by the fact that Rangers have not done anything in the last 48 hours or so since the game. I am baffled by it. In fact, I would go as far to say is that given they've not done anything by now, I don't expect anything will be done.
He's not going. No, he's not going.
Not going. And I'm kind of lost with it, mate, because I'm struggling. I know we'll come on, we'll maybe talk about it. I'm kind of struggling to understand where the board's head's at, right? What are they expecting to happen here? I honestly can't understand it, right? I think prior to that game, I think any board member with a brain cell would have been looking at it going, Rangers really need to go all out for the Scottish Cup, right? Because it's our last realistic chance of silverware. I know we're in the Europa League. It's kind of pie in the sky stuff, right? Rangers are going to find it very, very difficult to win that competition. I know we've been in a final just a few years ago, but we were in a final with a far better squad and, to be honest, probably a better manager, in my opinion, than what Phil Clement was. So it's kind of pie in the sky stuff for them to be sitting thinking, you know what, this guy might actually win us a Europa League. So the Scottish Cup was the big thing that I go, that's the only thing realistically that we were going to win, right? You're not going to win the league, right? Irrelevant. Celtic would need an absolute capitulation for us to get anywhere near the title. So it's just, now that that's been closed off, I kind of go, what are you waiting on? We talk a lot about kicking the can down the road. I think Ali said it on his post-match on Sunday. What are we kicking the can down the road for? Like, genuinely, what are we waiting on? What are we expecting to happen here? Ross and I were speaking a wee bit before we come online there. Are we just waiting on Europa League and then go, right, that's everything completely dead in the water, and then we punt them. I just don't know. I'm confused, mate. But it's a massively damaging result, a result that should see Philip Clement removed from his position. But given we're 48 or so hours on from that, and he's not been yet, I'm with you, mate. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon.
No, I don't, and there's a lot there that I've got massive opinions on, mate. That from what you've spoke about, and before we go any further as well, I meant to say before we even started discussing the game, credit goes to Queen's Park. I am not here trying to be derogatory towards them or in any way try and beat them down for the achievement that they did. Absolutely fair play to them. They deserved to win that game. My criticism and everything that I speak about tonight is based on my team, my club, the state of my club, the state of the where we are. So I know people come in and say you're not giving them credit. Full credit goes to them. They took their opportunity. There was somebody there. There was an opportunity there for them even to make a bit of history, and they went and they took that opportunity. So that's full credit goes to them. You can't do that. Thank you very much for the £2 as well. Very much appreciated. Donating that through the chat. Do appreciate that. Ross, I think we are going to come on. I've seen Curry as well. He made the point about the way the manager handled the aftermath, etc. And we will come on to that. I promise we will. As you can imagine, I've got strong opinions on it. It's the more their tactical approach by Clement. He's stumbled across, and I don't really want to break down the game and to speak about the game because we've all seen it. We all know what it was. It was pathetic by Rangers. It was pathetic by the players. It was pathetic by the management team. It was unacceptable on pretty much every platform, every conceivable platform. We have real problems throughout the team. There's no doubt about it. I suppose there's different bits I could break into that, but what I do want to say is we've seen Clement move to a two up top, having two strikers on the park basically at the same time. You can't really say it's a two up top because one kind of sits off a kind of central striker. And we've seen that, but he was forced into these changes. On Sunday there, he could have played Diggerman and Dessers, and he chose not to. He chose not to do that. He chose to go back to this 4-3-3 that doesn't work. It doesn't suit the low block. It doesn't suit anything. It doesn't suit a breaking down a team that are willing to sit in and work hard. It just doesn't work. He just resorts back to that tactic. With Clement and even his tactics, and it's before we come to things any further, I suppose, he's not learning, in my opinion. We are being told by maybe him, maybe there's a kind of, we're hearing two and two and we're putting them together and we're getting four and saying that this is a transitional season, etc. My concern is, Ross, is what you've seen on Sunday. That is it from Clement. That is what he wants his team to do. That is how he wants them to set up. That is how he wants them to play football. He expects maybe one or two players to do something when the going gets tough, and that's it. But at the end of that game, we had both centre halves in the box just punting balls towards it to hope something that would happen aimlessly. And I mean, very rarely that has ever worked in football. We've seen it so many times when a team are chasing. It doesn't work. But that's where we had resorted to. My biggest concern, Ross, is we are getting told this is a transitional period, or we're made to believe that's what it is, if you like. What are we transitioning to? On Sunday, that was Clement's philosophy. That's it. And if we continue on that, he's damned. He's doomed. We all are. He will not succeed. He does not have a style of play that he's willing to implement that will be successful domestically. That is my real concern now.
No, nothing will change. Nothing will change if nothing changes. It's for me the one moment that the comments just pointed out there. You're trailing a game, you're 0-0, sorry, and you bring off Hadji for Yilmaz. I mean, that's enough. That's enough for me. Just you're looking for a goal and it's suiting Yilmaz as the answer for it. I don't get it. It's the same thing we've heard for months and months. It is this transition. You're right, mate. You're spot on. This is what you're going to see. Whatever it is that's on that you see on a Thursday night, put that to one side, because domestically, the cups, the league, where it matters, you're not getting any different. You're not going to get any different. So I don't know. I'm in the same boat as you lads. You're kicking the can down the road till what you're even 7, 8 points behind, is that acceptable? Is that really what's gonna? Is that what we're aiming for this season? Like, it's the Europa League. You can't say we're gonna win the Europa League. I'm not thinking about that.
We won't. No, we
will
won't.
not. There's not
We
a
won't.
chance. We're not a
No.
chance. So the fact that we're very much for the next few months thinking, oh, let's try and close the gap. That for me you should never be saying that sentence as a Rangers fan. And the only way that's going to change is getting rid of the manager. So yeah, it is kind of just, it's plain and simple. Just the guy has to go, and I just have the fear we're going to keep seeing it all over and over again, mate. Because as you say, mate, nothing's changing. So, and there's no proof, or no, I guess, optimism that it is going to change. Because don't get me wrong, this is the worst lot. This is the worst loss out of the lot. But we've had pretty bad before, and nothing's happened. So I don't know. We'll get on to Clement's comments. I think there's a lot to kind of dive into there. But the guy's got no credit left for me, not at all. And I think that's probably the same for a lot of us.
There was no credit left for me from a long time ago, mate, to be honest. I think not that you were really believing that we were turning a corner as such, but we did see an improvement, and it wouldn't have been difficult to see an improvement. And you, as I said before, it's very, very tiresome to be constantly negative about what you're watching on the football pitch. It is hard to do. It's hard to come on this podcast and sit and go, my God, that was garbage. And I've said it so many times this season. We've seen slight signs of improvement where we thought, right, okay. And it looks pretty clear, as we've mentioned, that the board are not going to do anything about this. They're just going to duck their head in the sand, really, and hope it all goes away and they can just sit and enjoy their cucumber sandwiches on and meal day on match days or whatever they choose to do. But they say we're at the worrying point now where I don't see where the transition is or what the transition to is. I'm just being told that this is happening, and it's just all words, basically, is what I'm getting at. It's all words. There is no clear proof of anything. And he's now at the point where it's gone way, way too far, so much so that he had to be escorted out of Ibrox. He was 5 or 6 security cards around him. Not that anything was going to happen in that regard, but they knew you're going to get pelters here. You're going to get absolutely people standing there and they're going to fire stuff. I mean, verbally fire stuff at you, and they're venting their frustration, which I've got nothing against if it's done in the right way. But that shows it yourself that somebody within the club knows that something's went terribly wrong, but nobody seems to want to take responsibility to be the one that starts to try and fix it. I'm at the point now where I believe that there must be somebody involved with our club that needs to stand up and go, if I want for a better phrase, hang on a minute here. This isn't right. This isn't good enough. We need to stop what we're doing and we need to take action now. Like, we have to take action now. I could go off on a rant. I really could, because there's so many things, honestly, that I want to say. But Nicky, in terms of the kind of tactical approach, it's one step forward and 2 steps back under Clement. There is no real positives and there's no real signs of improvement. That was all we had left domestically on Sunday. Domestically this season, that's all we had left. No disrespect to Queen's Park. They're a league below us. They're sitting middle of the table and they were struggling. They've not picked up a lot of points recently. And we had a bunch of players on that park that had no desire, no heart, no fight, no leadership, no professionalism to apply a game plan, whatever the game plan may have been. I suppose what I'm getting at there, yes, the players take an element of responsibility for it, and I do believe that they do. I don't think any of them can really get away with any pass marks. I thought they were all atrocious generally. I thought the whole team was absolutely diabolical. I really did. I think a few huffed and puffed, but the rest of them, Iggyman as well, he was pathetic. I thought his attitude stank the entire game. It didn't look like he wanted to get out of first gear. It really, and Barami the same. We could do a whole podcast on him, because looks like another complete waste of money to me. It really does. Where does the buck stop, Nicky? Do the players need to take some element of responsibility of that, or does the majority of that lie at the manager? Because Sunday for me is maybe, 15% the players, if I'm being generous. The rest is completely on the management team.
I think you're right, mate. I think there is a mix. I don't think the players should come out of this unscathed, right? We've seen collections of these players get rid of not just one manager but multiple managers, right? I've kind of overseen that because this is what they do, right? When was the last time we had an individual player who went through one of these purple patches for a sustained period of time? This is what our club is all about at the minute. It is a collection of players, individual players who go through these wee purple patches that see us through games, right? And this has been a problem for a number of years. We've been so overly reliant on
Dessers
like
has just done it.
Morelos.
Dessers has just done it again.
Correct.
Dessers has just had his wee purple patch
So
yet again.
So is Igaman.
Yeah.
James Tavernier, Morelos, Dessers, Igaman. I'm not saying Igaman's bad, by the way, right? But the last 4 or 5 games, he's been poorer than what he was. So I do think there is an element of the players need to take a bit of pride, right? That's pathetic. The way they're jogging about the park, they're not committed to tackles and even just second balls, like stuff like that. They're just dragging their heels, man. They're not interested in getting into a battle, and that's what Queen's Park were up for. They rolled their sleeves up and they beat us in the battle, and you're right. All credit to them. I've said for a long time, mate. Clement's not got a style, right? He is absolutely relying on this board putting quality on the park for him. That is how he will get results.
He wants moments, doesn't he?
Wants moments,
players to create moments.
Players will deliver those moments, right? The more of these big players you have, the more of these moments you will deliver. The problem we have, mate, it was we're not Real Madrid, right? We don't have the finances to just go out and spend 30 or 40 million to put 7, 8, 9 quality individuals on the park, right? Unless we can get this player trading model up and firing, we do not have the resources to do that, right? So again, we are relying on 2 or 3 individuals to produce these moments, and they're simply not doing it, right? You pay 3 million for Barami. He should be delivering moments. He should be delivering moments every single week. He should definitely be delivering moments against teams like Queen's Park.
Well, considering as well on Sunday, the whole team was structured so Barami was in that 10.
Correct.
That was all structured to make sure that he could shine or he could show a bit of something, and he was piss poor. Like,
I know, but you're right, and we're now relying on guys like Czerny, guys like Igaman, guys like Dessers digging us out a hole, and if they have an off day, we are fucked, for lack of a better phrase. We genuinely are, because we can't defend, we can't deal with transitions, we can't deal with set pieces. We have no patterns of play or a plan B where we go, right, this isn't working. Dessers is having an off day, or Igaman's having an off day. Mum will work on the stuff that we do in training week in, week out, and we'll break this team down. This was the other thing that really peed me off, Scott, right? We are used to playing every 3 or 4 days. He had a full week on the training park to build up to a team in the division below us, and that is a shit he served up. That is a shit he served up. A full week of training, and that's what we got.
We looked like we just ran a marathon before the game. That's 100%. how poor Rangers were.
Lacking energy. I think the thing with Clement, right, and the board, I'm struggling to get my head around it. On one hand, I'm kind of going, I understand why Rangers want to move away from this model of sacking a manager every year, right? That is not sustainable. You can't do that, right? But at the same time, what are we waiting on here, right? What is it we're waiting on? Because, and I'll caveat this, right, by the way, because I don't want to snipped and all over Twitter. I do not think this will happen, right? But let's just say, hypothetically, Rangers suddenly put together a consistent run of form. And to Ross's point, let's say we claw back a gap. Let's say we beat Celtic twice. Right? Again, I don't think this will happen, right? But let's say it did, and we finish the season a far more respectable 5 or 6 points behind Celtic, right? And then let's say we go on a brilliant run in Europa League as well, and we get into the, let's say, semi-final stage, right? And all of a sudden, Clement looks a bit better. The problem is, mate, 99% of the fans now don't trust the guy, right? Even if that happened, mate, would you trust him leading us into next year that he would win us a treble, or not even a treble? Would he win us a title? I wouldn't. And you know, for a fact, the first bad result, people would go, I told you so, because people don't trust him. So I'm kind of going, well, what are you waiting on? Like, we're just kicking the can down the road. Are we looking at Clement and going, he's the best chance for us to win the Europa League right now? Because he had some good results, all due respect to him. He's had some decent results in Europe. Are the board looking at it and going, how, given that's the only thing we have within our grasp, right? Is he the best option there for us to win that over a caretaker like a Kevin Thompson or a bloody McInnes or whoever that might be, right? Is Clement a better chance of winning that? And that's the only reason I can think at the minute why they're sticking with him. I'm not sure I buy into they've accepted long-term failure. I don't think I buy into that. I think what the board have done, right, is they've accepted we're going to be shite this season. I think they've accepted that Celtic are probably going to clean sweep domestically. If we were to win a trophy, then it's a bonus. But I honestly suspect they've written off this season, and that's why I think we're still with Clement, because I think they were almost just expecting this to happen. Maybe not quite as bad as what it has played out, but I fully suspect that they have. I'm maybe giving them a bit more credit than they're actually due here, but I'm hoping there is a bit more kind of longer term in there where they are maybe looking at the likes of Inigaman or a Yefty or a Diamandi who could bring in 5 million, 10 million. For Inigaman, you could be talking north of maybe 15-ish million. Gets the player trading, you then can put more quality on the park, and maybe next year they go, right, we'll have a better stab at it. I don't know, mate. I'm struggling to kind of get my head around what they're
thinking. On that bit,
the board should come out and tell us this. Yes, come out and tell us what the plan is.
Yes.
And do you know what? Everybody would settle down.
Yeah.
Just come out and tell us. See if we come out and go, listen, it's going to be a shit show this year, but actually, here's our plan for the next 2 or 3 years beyond that. People would settle down, but sitting in silence doesn't help MD.
I agree. I think I don't know if it's a wee bit unrealistic to expect our CEO and our chairman to come out and go, look, this is the script, this is the narrative, this is what's going on. I don't buy into the narrative that will get spelled about is Rangers can't afford to sack the manager. To me, that is honestly just a lot of nonsense. It's not true. If Rangers wanted to sack Philip Clement, they have the money there to be able to sack him. The problem is that they don't want to. Whether that would have a knock-on effect into who we get a chance to recruit, then that's another conversation. I do understand that and how attractive we can make the club to a potential new manager. But I don't believe for a second that there's no money there to sack him. There is money there to sack him. I've got absolutely no doubt about the fact that there is. So that bit to me is a wee bit not null and void, but I just don't see that there's no merit in that trader thinking for me. But as you were saying, Nick, is even, and I do think you're giving the board a little bit too much credit, because I certainly wouldn't give them as much credit as that, thinking about the future thinking, mate, put it that way. But I even if that was the case, that they are thinking, right, well, everything's gone here, there's not really much that we can do about it, let's just kind of carry on. I do believe that it has to be communicated to us. It has to be this, that they have to be able to make things as transparent as possible right now, because the whole, I mean, 90, I don't know how many much percentage, and I'm not speaking on behalf of Rangers fans, but every Rangers fan that I've spoke to has went, this is ridiculous. How is this guy still in a job? And I suppose it leads me on to, Ross, the aftermath of the game, the comments that was made by Philip Clement. I don't usually watch Clement. I got really sick of watching Philip Clement in press conferences a long time ago, because I can't listen to him waffle on. I really can't. He talks absolute nonsense. He really does. The biggest concern for me from the aftermath comments is I don't actually think that he thinks this is a big deal. Like, he doesn't believe that this is a seismic defeat, a seismic result, a seismic moment in our history, and he believes that it's just a cup upset. Is he ignorant, arrogant? Does he believe he's untouchable? Is it a combination of it all? Because all that press conference did for me was reaffirm to me, even more so than I already was, that this guy has to be removed by his position, because he does not get it.
No, he does not, mate. He does not. I was saying to Nicky before we came on that I watched it for the second time this evening, and it does not get better at the second time listening to it at all. You try and think of anything that can come from it, not at all. And as well, fair play to the panel who was on that day, because the questions they were asking were fairly spot on. So, I mean, the one that sticks out, there's a few that sticks out for me. Don't get it wrong. The whole thing about, these days don't happen often. We had so many shots on target. Come on, Phil. Come on. Like, there's days like these, like, they should never happen. The fact that it has happened, that is not the answer you go to. I'm gonna, if that's a language barrier, I'm not even gonna try and point it in that. I think it just proves that the guy doesn't get it for me, unfortunately. The whole, he opened his presser with, the most shots on target we've had all season. He's almost like he's still trying to convince us that his plan is working. It's what's going to take us forward. And you could see, I think it was after David Edgar asked his comment. You could see that Clement was getting a wee bit. I don't know if it was emotional, if it was whatever. The guy's stressed. Because I think he probably knows at the back of his mind that he's on a bit of a shaky peg as well. So I think if you haven't already, please go and listen to the press conference. But just don't even listen to the answers. Listen to the questions that are being answered, and it'll tell you the whole story. The fact that you've got fan media, the fans saying it that bluntly to the guy, right? That's, read the room and you'll know exactly what's going on. So it's not easy listening. I'd give it a listen if you haven't already, but there's so much to take out of it, and it's only 7 minutes long. It's just no words, mate, no words.
I hated the lack of accountability that he took. I hated the comment of, if you got another manager and it wouldn't make a difference. That comment, hate that. I don't like that at all. You're not a fortune teller, Philip, so don't say things like that. And I'm just at the point where I can't really listen to the guy speak. I don't have any faith in him. I don't have any belief in him. I don't have any belief in what he's trying to do, because I still don't know. Honestly, I still don't know what he's trying to do. I still can't understand the philosophy that he wants to implement. And to sit there and basically say it's just a cup defeat, it's just a short cup defeat, that's basically what he was getting at. I was like, you've got no clue. You've literally got no idea of the magnitude of how humiliating this is for us as a fan base. Yes, first and foremost, probably, but for us as a football club, And as Nicky even mentioned a bit about the player trading, I get the whole aspect of, yes, this could be a player trading. Who's going to buy Yigaman for 15 million after your team get beat 1-0 off Queen's Park? You're devaluing your own assets. You're devaluing them by continuing on with this guy. I honestly believe, and I'm not being over the top here, a guy that's played amateur football, even Nicky, who's a bit crazy at times and very much falling into the category of Rangers with the things that he says, but I reckon he could go in and you'd get a better tune out of Rangers than what Clement would, because you would just set up and do the basics right. We don't do that. We don't do the basics. We don't have that. We don't have that within the team. So, yeah, but anyway, but kind of back to his comments, Nicky. The magnitude, the manner of the result, with everything surrounding it is the problem. The touting these days don't happen very often. It's just a short cup defeat. To me, that's red flags, mate. That's red flags. And if someone above him, like the CEO, like the chairman, like whoever the investors are, the board members are, have not come down and put pressure right onto the top of his neck and said, you cannot say things like that. My fear is right now is that there isn't still no leadership within the club. There's still no one there that knows just what Rangers Football Club will mean to so many people. As some will say, it's a way of life for us, and that result is just unacceptable. And for his comments to be like that, to you, is it arrogance? Is it ignorance? Is it everything? Does he believe that I can get beat as many times as I like this season? How far as well do we need to go now? How far does it need to go? Does Celtic have to win the league by 25 points? Do we have to get put out the Europa League like you said? Where does this end? Because we all know, everybody knows, this guy cannot continue.
I think there is a bit of arrogance in it. I mean, Ross, you and I spoke about this as well. Some of his comments and pressers has been quite baffling. I do think he can be quite cryptic with stuff. He tends to play he tends to be a bit of a smart ass, I think, with things, and then he kind of comes back a few days later and he goes, "Oh no, well actually what I meant was this," because he kind of leaves some of his comments kind of open for that debate. They're quite subjective with a lot of the things
By
that
the
he
way,
said.
this as well, but you can't do that. This is what he said about we wanted it too much. What is that? Sorry, what were you watching, mate? I don't think so. Sorry.
And you're right, he's just insulting our intelligence, right? When he starts coming on and talking about shots on goal, etc. It's like, who cares? Like, genuinely, I don't really recall Rangers making a massive amount of clear-cut chances, right? It's not like we have these patterns of play where we're doing the same things over and over again. We're attacking certain aspects of their structure, and we're creating lots and lots of opportunities about it. It's almost like a raffle. It's genuinely just we'll just try different things. We'll put it out of Tav, we'll fire it in. We'll put it out of Yefty, we'll fire it in. We'll maybe have a shot for distance. There's no structure to kind of what we do, and a lot of that lies at the door of Phil Clement. But I think on his comments, I do think there's a bit of an arrogance. As I say, that this is why there is a wee tiny part of me that goes, I think he's been told in the background, listen, you will have this season. You will have this season. Irrelevant of what happens. To your point, Scott, we finished 20, 25 points behind Celtic. I don't think it would matter, genuinely. What are we now? 13-ish points behind, right? He's already survived more than probably any other manager, right? When Michael Beale was relieved of his duties, I think we were about 7 or 8 points behind. I think similarly, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, we were about 7 or 8 points behind when they were relieved of their duties. So he has survived longer than the both of them, which is why I do think Rangers have potentially sat down and said, listen, the wage bill is spiraling out of control and has been for a number of years. Yeah. We are not getting good value for that wage bracket, right? If you look at Celtic's wage bracket, I was quite alarmed to see that their wage structure was actually slightly less than ours last season. When you think about what they're generating, right, amount of trebles, amount of titles, amount of cups they've picked up over the years versus our wage bill, which was on par, if not slightly higher, we were not getting good value for money. And that's why I do think the team or the board have sat down and said, listen, I hope to Christ, by the way, it is only 1 year, right? But it could be longer. But they've sat down and went, listen, we need to bring the wage structure down. We need to get rid of a lot of the dead wood, a lot of the horrendous decisions that we have made recruitment-wise over the last couple of years. Guys like Sam Lammers, Kieran Dowell, Ben Davies, Tom Lawrence, Rabbi Matondo, all these guys who are claiming 20, 25, 30, 35 grand a week. We need to get rid of all them. The problem we have, mate, is we can't get rid the pace at which we are getting rid of these guys is just simply not quick enough. It's just not quick enough. We're having to settle for loan deals. We're having to settle for options to buy. We're not getting the funds in now. We're not getting Rabbi Matondo out the door in January for however many million quid, 1.5, whatever it is, right? We're not just Cifuentes is another guy, right? Another horrendous decision, right? Seems to be doing all right over in Cyprus or Greece or wherever he is. But again, we've just not got the funding there right now to go and buy some other guy and a replacement and put a bit of quality on the park, mate. So I do fully suspect that he will be here for the duration of this season, mate. Whether he gets knocked out in the round of 16 of the Europa League, whether he goes to quarter, semi, final, Christ, even if he wins it, I suspect he will still be given the entirety of this season. Whether he ends up 20, 25 points behind Celtic, I still think he'll get the entirety of this season. And in the summer, they'll maybe be in a slightly stronger position then to make a decision then. Because as I say, I come back to that. Are the board now looking at it as going, the Europa League's our final shot at glory for this season? Does Phil Clement give us enough that we could go, he's probably better than what maybe a caretaker would be, potentially?
If they do think that that's the case, though, Ross, and they do think, right, let's give Philip Clement his due here. He's got us to the last 16 of Europe by finishing the top 8 and then the new revamped kind of group stage. If that's the case, it still goes back to this thing about communication. It shouldn't be the end of Tuesday after the sheer humiliating defeat of Sunday there shouldn't be silence. There just shouldn't be any sort of form of silence. The board have to communicate that. We have to have very much an open and honest kind of I don't know, a press conference even, sit the CEO down in front of a press conference, put the likes of Davy and Davy for Heart and Hand, Stevie for Four Lads, the guys that asked Clement the questions and made the comments to Clement on Sunday, which again, I taught my hat to him for, because it had to be said. It really did have to be said, just due to his absolute arrogance in the way that he handled the press conference. But the board have to have communication with us now. They're going to need to tell us what the plan is. I'm of the opinion that I don't think leaving at the end of the summer makes any difference. I think the board could buy themselves time here by putting anybody they want in charge. They could be anybody. It doesn't really matter who it is. I know I can see people in the comments already kind of going Thompson, Ferguson, Davies, whoever. I genuinely don't care who it is. Just as long as it's not Clement anymore. There has to be somebody that comes in and goes, right, see all that, forget what you were doing there, let's just go out and play a bit of football. You are better than 99% of the teams that you're playing against in Scotland. Just going to go beat them playing football, basically. So I don't know what it achieves. I don't know what it achieves waiting until summer to sack him. What do you think the board are thinking is? Where do you believe that their decision making is? I mean, even when CEO had his first interview it was released, he said obviously if results don't get better, and Clement's been told that, then obviously there'll be action taken along the line. Something blurred lines in between all of that, reading between the lines, have all said that doesn't get much worse on Sunday. So what do you think the board's plan of action is right now?
Well, that's just it, mate. That's the one thing that I was thinking of, is that how do you get worse than that result? That is the worst result possible. Personally, I've struggled this week to kind of think of kind of the solution and more what I think is going to happen, because I'm so in between. I think I agree with you boys. I reckon he stays to the end of the season, and I reckon one thing that I think I forgot about is that, in fact, he's just been given an assistant manager. The guy from, he's Moroccan, the assistant managers came in, so he's just been given even more, surely there's plans for the two of them to work things out. Obviously, we know that Niels Coppin's been promoted up. There's been structures around that just further emphasise that the guy's staying here, he's not going. And so I don't see any way around it. I reckon kind of what some of the comments are saying, I think they're spot on, that once Europe's done and the first kind of bad domestic defeat comes along, that sure has to be when that's when it needs to come to an end. But do I even see past that? Because, with all these people coming in, with all these kind of situations moving about, it all comes to that kind of final, conclusion of it's all based around Clement. It's all Clement's in the number 10. We're working it around Clement. It doesn't make sense for me. It's just we'll need to wait and see what happens, because as you say, there's no communication. So yeah, we'll just wait to see what happens.
Bluebells are blue. Cheers for letting me vent. Pods are pure therapeutic. They are. Generally they are, mate. That's absolutely tremendous. So for the 20, mate, that's absolutely superb. Thank you so much. You generally don't need to do things like that, but when you do, it's brilliant. So I honestly, I can't thank you enough. So we really do appreciate that. Nicky, some may think I'm going to put on a tinfoil hat here, and I'm not going to lie, because there's going to be things that I say here, and this is probably the most controversial I'll be on the entire subject of this, until I have to speak about it again, probably next time that I'm on the podcast. But we're at the point now where we don't know what the club what the board are thinking, what the CEO's thinking, what the chairman's thinking. We don't know where we're going to go from here. He isn't going to get sacked. I think if he was going to get sacked, it would have been done on Monday. So he's going to be in charge by the time the weekend comes around. What if we get beat on Sunday? What happens then? Well, when we get beaten Sunday, some may say. But Gio got us to a final in Europe and was sacked domestically for probably not as bad as what Clement has done now. I'm not a fan of the whole stats, win percentages, things that get fired about and say, oh, look where Clement is, but compared to blah, blah, and compared to this and compared to who and ha. Because you get compared to Gerrard's as well, and he's got a better win record than Gerrard, who's not been here as long. But under Gerrard, we knew there was a clear plan, there was a clear direction that we were going, and you were also seeing some pretty goddamn good football at times. We haven't seen that under Clement. We've not seen anything to say that Rangers are turgid to watch. I mean, really bad to watch. We're not playing good football at all. For the team being as in Clement's words, we've got the second biggest budget in the league. We don't look like we play the second best football in the league. Suppose what I'm getting at, see with the way that the club are doing it, the way the club are handling this, the way that for the fact that Clement is still there, and this might be a wee bit over the top, but it is something that's always niggled in the back of my mind. Is the club losing its identity? Is the people that are currently in position quite happy to let these standards that have been set that we all believe in, rightly or wrongly, it doesn't really matter. It's what it is. The level of winning things that we expect as Rangers will never change. And some may think it's crazy, but you have to deal with that when you come and play for Glasgow Rangers. It is as simple as that. But are we losing our standards, our whole identity as a football club because we've got a bunch of spineless board members that are pretty much, to me, looking like they're turning around to fans and going, yous need to suck this up, whether you like it or not. And by the way, see, when your season ticket renewals come out, there'll be 5% added to it.
I think firstly, a bit of context, Gerrard took over a team that had a wage bill of about 16 million, 17 million quid, by the way, which was a third of Celtic's at the time. Yeah. Yes, he grew it exponentially over a 2 or 3 year period, but you're absolutely right. We seen massive progress in Gerrard. We've seen good football. We've seen a structure. We've seen a team that was difficult to break down. Don't quote me on stats, right? But I'm pretty sure there's some mad stat that Gerrard never ever lost a game by more than like 2 goals in the entire period he was here, right? You look at Clement, we've a few really bad results. So we don't see that progress with Clement, and I think that's why a lot of the fans have lost faith in him, because you don't see him working towards anything. It's not like we're bringing down the wages. We're getting rid of dead wood. We're bringing in these kind of younger, more exciting talents like your Diamandi, like your Yefty, like your Igaman, like your Cortez, who I know has been really unfortunate with injuries. But it's not like we're seeing the best of them, right? We're not seeing a structure. We're not seeing a pattern of play that gets the best out of these players, right? We're just expecting them to. We're expecting Diamandi, right? He was shocking at the weekend, by the way. But I like Diamandi, right? I think we've seen flashes with Diamandi.
I don't.
We are literally expecting guys like him to pick the ball up in the middle of the park and go and beat 3 or 4 boys and score goals. We're expecting Igaman to take a 40 or 50 yard hoof for John Suter out the air on his chest and put one in the top bin. That's kind of what we're expecting these boys to do. And on your point, I mean, Igaman, yes, somebody looking at him at the minute, somebody looking at him 3 weeks ago would have went, he's got everything in his locker to go very, very far in the game. But when Clement is firing him out wide and putting him in the 10 and changing his position every bloody week, right, that's probably a contributor to the fact that he's kind of fallen away a wee bit. In terms of the board, are we losing our identity? I don't know. I don't think so. And again, maybe I've been kind of glass half full here, right? I don't think there is some... I don't think the board members are sitting on a table at the minute going, we are second best and that will be it forever. I don't think that's what's happening, right? I think as fans, we probably need to accept that we are going to be behind Celtic for a period of time, whether that's a year, whether it's 2 years, whether it's 3 years, I'm not really too sure. It really depends on whether we've got a board who have got a longer term strategy in place and a plan to get us back challenging domestically again. So I don't think we've necessarily lost our identity. I don't think this is a case of back in the 90s and the early 2000s and kind of 2010s, we were very much we got into the season to win all 3 titles, right? We went all 3 trophies, sorry. Celtic, by right, go in the same season with the exact same objectives, by the way. I think there is a short-term piece, which is we're not going to win a league title. We might win a Scottish Cup. We might win a League Cup. I mean, if you think a bit back to that League Cup, right, you're talking about a poor decision away from potentially winning it, right? A poor decision in extra time and we could have won that, right? And it's a bit more credit in the bank for Clement. So I think they are looking at it as, realistically, we're not going to be able to go the distance in a league title against Celtic at the minute with the resources, the squad, the money that they've got at the minute. But if we can get a cup, then great. If we can get a run deep into Europe, then great. I am hoping, and again, I'm maybe putting too much faith in them. I am hoping there is a bit of a longer term strategy there, which is we will get to a point where we will start challenging again, and here's the building blocks that they will need to do to get it. The problem we have at the minute is the fans don't trust Clement, right? Even if the board have this brilliant plan in the background that's going to kind of build success over the years, I don't think the fans trust Clement to be able to implement that on the park anymore. And even to Ross's point, right, see if we do go and get beaten Sunday and they sack him then, it's just going to piss people off even more because everybody's going to go, why did you not do this a week ago? Like, what difference has a week made, right? We've now went 16 points behind Celtic potentially, right, if they win their game, which they probably will. So I think that's what's pissing off a lot of fans is that they're clearly just not making this decision, right? And that's why I don't think they will make the decision. I think they'll get to the summer. I don't even think it's a case of when he gets punted out the Europa League. I don't think people expect us to get top 8 in the Europa League. I think it's been a bonus. I think last 16, if you think about budgets and where we are versus the clubs that's in the Europa League, last 16 is probably there or thereabouts where you would maybe expect us to be. So I think anything beyond that is a bonus at the minute, and I think they'll assess it in the summer. But like I say, I think that the biggest thing for me at the minute, and I'm maybe putting too much faith in them, is I'd like to think there is a bit of a plan behind it that works back towards the identity that you and I and certainly the rest of the fans and the guys who are watching tonight have been used to 10, 15 years ago or so.
Yeah, I would love to believe that there is that. And I think Rangers on Tour just put in the board, dragged the sacking of Gio over a week, and the same with Beale. Yeah, I do get that, but I don't think the magnitude of Sunday's defeat deserves it to go for a week. It should have been done. If it's going to happen, then it gets done, because I don't think Rangers will appoint a manager. If Clement was to go, I don't think we'll appoint a manager straight away. Again, I don't see any merit in that. I don't see any real benefit in that. Yes, by all means, recruit the guy, get the guy appointed and keep it to yourself if you have to, and let him from a distance view what he has to work with. I do believe there's some players within the squad that can become better players, that can become better than what they currently are. But Ross, I say and it probably is a wee bit over the top, but I've seen Curry mention it, I sometimes have thought to myself, are this board, are the way things currently are, have we to accept that we're going to be an Aberdeen, a Hibs, a Hearts? Is that it? Is this what we're going to be now? Because for me, it's completely unacceptable, and I'll never accept that level of standards, not with the amount of money that gets put in by the fans into the club. We cannot beat that. It's impossible for it to be like that. You cannot expect that to happen. Am I being a wee bit too much Rangers Dar, Ross? You're always good to level my head out, mate, with things, but am I being a bit too much Rangers Dar? Because I do get the real fear that this board don't really fully understand. And again, it's probably because due to the silence of it all, they don't fully understand what this club means to so many. It's a business, yes, but to us, it's far, far more than that.
Oh, of course, mate. It's football is such a unique business because you'll have, like I've said before, people like if you buy from a business and it doesn't do well, you don't buy from them again. Rangers is different because Rangers lives with your whole life. I think Rangers is probably, they're too big a club to turn into, with all due respect, to the likes of your Aberdeens, your Hibs, etc. I think that's too high for Rangers, and obviously I know that it's kind of, is that the same in the board's eyes? I don't know. I can't see us being kind of down at that kind of standard, if you will. I think making good points in the comments again. The comments have been good this evening. That I do think the board and Clement is it is kind of two separate issues. Clement's the easiest one to fix first. I think we need to get the Clement one done first, before kind of thinking about any decision with the board. I think kind of just at the moment I've kind of almost figured out where I wanted to go throughout the week on the pod. I think that you almost get somebody in just now and give them, time before pre-season. That's kind of the important bit for me just now. Get somebody who can come in, so when they come in the summer, they're not a stranger trying to assert their authority, if that makes sense. They actually are here. They know who the players are. The players know who they are. Get somebody in just now, so when it comes to pre-season, it's not a new transition all over again. Make the foundations for it just now. I think that's probably where my head's at mostly in terms of the solution. But hey, I'm just a 20-year-old bloke sitting here chatting to you a lot. So I don't know. It's very much it's such a strange situation to be in, and it's one that we as fans, everyone. This is the third time this has happened in quick succession that we've came round this roundabout all over again. When's it? It needs to end now. So I reckon you need to kind of fix it as quickly as you possibly can. Get Clement removed of his duties, and who comes in? That's kind of probably half the ball. It's all well and good me saying get Clement gone. Who comes in? I don't know. So it's that one's up to the board. And yeah, it's very much sit in the silence that we're currently sat in.
Yeah, can I just come in, Scott, just before
absolutely.
You start to close up, mate? I just did one other thing to mention, and it was one of the comments that actually just tweaked my thinking here about, I don't know if anybody's seen the clip, right, about Philip Clement leaving the stadium on Sunday night and he was being escorted by about five or six security guards. That, for me, shows the serious lack of backbone of our board, that they allow him to walk out and take the absolute brunt. Not that he doesn't deserve a level of angriness from the fans, right? But to allow him to just go out there surrounded by 5 security guards, they absolutely know how toxic that environment is. Otherwise, they wouldn't have sent 5 or 6 security guards to walk Philip Clement's car, right? It shows the absolute lack of backbone of our board, that they just sat in their wee cushy seats up the stairs and went, this is kind of went tits up a wee bit, send security guards out to him and he can deal with the wrath of the fans, instead of somebody showing a bit of leadership and coming out and talking to people. Whether that didn't necessarily need to be Sunday. First thing Monday morning, come out, here's the plan, right? Whether it's Phil Clement will lose his job, we're going to remove him from his position because of X, Y, and Z, or actually Phil Clement is going to stay, he's got our full backing, and here's why we're going to do it. It just shows another severe lack of backbone, that they were just quite content to just allow him go out and take the absolute shit off all the fans, mate.
Yeah, absolutely spot on, mate. I couldn't disagree. I couldn't agree more. Even I do agree with that. It wasn't a good look for anybody involved for Clement to go out and do that. Nobody within the board, not even Clement himself. The fact that had to happen on Sunday. And look, as I say, we're coming close to the hour mark now, and I think we could probably go on for another hour. But as I say, we are just at the point now where I don't believe we are transitioning to anything under Philip Clement. I believe that if anything, we are getting worse, and I don't see how it's possible. It's not tenable for him to keep his job. It just isn't. There is no merit in it for me. We have to recruit another manager, and you'll get the people saying that we can't continuously sack a manager. Again, I agree with that, the sentiment behind that and the argument behind that. But ultimately, we have to be able to see progression. Under Clement, there is none. There is absolutely zero progression. He has been in charge of the worst result in our history, and it's not just an off day, it's not just this, it's not just that. This is something that has been building up over time. Probably, maybe none of us would have expected it to happen on Sunday, but ultimately it did. there is no support from him, not from anybody in this podcast anyway. I know that for sure. Ali's actually gutted he couldn't be on tonight because he was quite looking forward to having his say, I think. But yeah, I think we all fully agree that the fact that he's not gone now means that the board are the ones that are going to have to come out and make some form of statement to give the fans an idea of what the hell we are doing and where the hell we are going. But I think one thing's for sure, not many people are going to be very happy if they come out and say that Philip Clement will continue to be Rangers manager. So we'll wait and see what happens, but I say I wouldn't hold your breath about it because I think Clement will be in the dugout on Sunday. I really do. That will do us for tonight. A quick hour, really, just because of the mess that we're in. There's no other way to kind of sum it up, but it felt good to be back, that's for sure. And there was no way I could let you boys do this without me having my therapy session. So for tonight, Nicky, thanks very much, mate.
Thanks for having us, mate. That was a tough hour for me, to be honest. I mean, it's no good coming on and just slaughtering board members and managers and players. It isn't hard. And again, one of the comments, Clement's a human being after all, right? I don't think he deserved to be personally abused outside Ibrox. Nobody deserves that. Fans can show their anger, they can show it in other ways, but he is a human being after all. And I do feel sorry for him, right? I think everybody on here wanted Clement to be a success. It's not paved out that way for whatever reason. It's about showing leadership now, and the board having a plan of how we get back to challenging domestically. If Phil Clement is the guy to do that, then come out and tell us why and what are the foundations that's going to allow him to do that. If he's not, then let's make a decision quickly. Why are we still dragging our heels? You're simply just pissing Rangers fans off more and more each day.
Absolutely. And Ross, thanks very much, mate.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a tricky one. It was tricky. We never like to come on and speak negatively about the pod, but we'll never lie to you. You know, the community we have, we can only say what we see, and yeah, it's very much we go into Sunday, and we'll see what happens. It's an away day. I'll just leave it there for this evening. So yes, thank you all.
What could possibly go wrong? Yes, look, it's never easy. It's never easy to come in and to sit and have a kind of full-blown negative conversation really about the state of the club right now. But I think the camel's back wasn't already broke on before Sunday. It's now lying in absolute tatters, and we are still left with trying to pick up all these pieces while the club are remaining to be silent on this. So hopefully there's something else to speak about by the time Friday rolls around, and we should be back with club live on Friday. Not sure who's going to be on, not even sure if I can make it yet. I'll need to try and probably delay bedtimes and things like that, but we'll figure it out. We always do. We'll always figure it out. But yes, thank you everybody in the chat tonight. It's really brilliant. Some of your comments and that tonight, absolutely superb. And those for donating as well, really do appreciate it. If you could like a video, subscribe to the channel, that would be magic. We're nearly at 7,000 subscribers now, which is bonkers, but that would be very much appreciated. And yeah, we will speak to you later on in the week. So thank you for tuning in and listening to us tonight. We are Club at 22, the Rangers podcast. Cheers everybody.